Hello everyone, welcome back to another War Conquer 4 video. This is the layback launcher after hours because it is late at night and I don't want to wake up my family, but I can't wait for this video because this is the April 2025 update, full 1 month after it was supposed to be released in March 2025. They did add quite a few new things. First and foremost is this North Atlantic event that you can see in the middle of my screen here. We start off with the easy mode missions as we do with all new events. Mission number 1, Seattle. We get 60 medals and some cash and industry out of it. We get ribbons, then a bit more later game Elite Force units, more ribbons, even more later game Elite Force units. With the only exception really being the Pershing and the T-44, and then some very late game units with the only exceptions being the Howitzer and the B-40 fighters. I exempted the Enterprise because that is a very useful, universally useful unit. Again, I apologize for the quality of this video, but this is just a general update review. We haven't seen the full hard mode missions yet. I still have to finish the Origin of the Scorpion Empire event. I only have 2 more of those hard mode missions. I'm glad that they added this sweep function. If you complete a hard mode mission, you don't have to redo it on easy mode. And we will have some extra hard mode missions. The first 4-star hard mode mission, Nightmare they call them, Easy Tech calls it. But as an Android player, I still have to wait almost 2 days for that. It's like very early in the morning here on the east coast of the United States. I apologize to the rest of the world, by the way, for what our president is doing right now to you guys. And I would like to tell the rest of my compatriots a very wholehearted bugger off for destroying our international perception overnight with your election decision, but I digress into politics. Let's get into some of the new Elite Force things that you can see, and in the top right corner you can see them. It is a 1-to-2 conversion rate, 1-to-3 for some of the units, 1-to-2 for some of the easier units, 1-to-3 for some of the harder units, which allows you to convert any excess fragments that you have into emblems. And that rate is 1-to-2, 1-to-3, 1-to-4 maybe, even for some of the rarer units. But I don't have any excess of rarer units like King Tigers, IS-3s, or Centurions, so I won't know that for a while. For me, that only applies to artillery and armor, since I don't have any access units in Air Force, Navy, or infantry. I'm very close to upgrading the Hawkeye Force. We did also get up to level 12 for the Elite Force infantry, for Elite Force units, and you can see that you can further upgrade T-44s if you've already got them maxed out. You can further upgrade the Pershing, and that is done through the emblems. And the emblems are redeemed for pieces in this new redemption shop. I'm glad that they've added the tank and armor and other pieces that can be redeemed for various amounts. Fortunately, it seems that the less desirable units can be redeemed at a much lower ratio than the more desirable units, but as an endgame player, it's the more desirable units that I'm going after, since that's really the only thing I haven't unlocked or maxed. Do bear in mind, it does seem to have a timer on the redemption shop, so you want to get onto this as soon as possible. I'm making this video late at night since there is a chance that they could upgrade the ratios at which you can convert these things at for it to be much less favorable, and you'll see why. Because the conversion is, even if you're doing a T-44 to any generic elite armor emblem, the ratio is 1-to-2. And then the ratio for the armor emblem to any other fragments is 1-to-4. So really that only equals an end-to-end ratio of 1 to 2 from excess elite units to actual elite armor or artillery fragments. And that's if you're doing that conversion for super desirable units like the endgame units like Typhoons or Abrams or Alfs or Tobbles or HIMARS, which really works out well for me since I have a lot of extra priest units that I can do. I can upgrade them, you can see. You would get extra defense, extra mobility, you would get extra, I don't even really know what to call these. Extra defense, extra mobility, extra abilities, for lack of a better word. But it's not really worth such a jump from 45 to 60% when I could be unlocking the HIMARS or the Topol, which are far more useful than the priest, excuse me. So that's one of the big additions. You have the North Atlantic campaign. You have hard mode events, which we will get released, at least I, as an Android player, will get released in a couple of days. We also have a couple of new trainable generals. The first being Tito. He gets an extra industrial expert on top of his economic expert. He can max out on infantry and mobility. And he also gets this... I'm not even gonna bother. I can say these words, but I hate the way that they sound: unyielding and self-improving. No, you want to keep your abilities, you want to keep your quote-unquote abilities short and sweet. Unyielding and self-improving does not have a good ring to it, and it really just doubles your economic and industrial output. Not worth it for Tito. The other trainable general that we have gotten, also a Bronze Star trainable general, is Auchinleck, who is, I presume, to be a tank commander, and his unique ability is quite complicated. So whatever fatigue is, you would have to find out in the field. Troops with fatigue have an additional 6% HP reduction from attacks and airstrikes, so they reduce an extra 6% HP, I presume, against the enemy. When you're conducting an attack against an enemy, you're doing an extra 6% damage against 6% HP reduction. It's not an extra 6% damage, it's an extra 6% HP reduction, which is kind of crazy. You know, fragmentation and Paris together. You're probably well familiar with these things by now after a couple of years of events. It's basically the same thing, but it does a 6% damage reduction, HP reduction from both direct attacks and airstrikes, and the enemy's morale is lowered. That is 100% probability of achieving both of these things. The fatigue effect is not applied to troops that are already demoralized, unfortunate. So I don't really see Auchinleck being very useful, especially since you only get him as a captain and such. I think I am still going to go for, I already got Patton. If you can check out my video. This is what Patton, as he is currently configured in my HQ. I think I will probably go for De Gaulle, regardless of, let's see, where is De Gaulle? Here he is. I will probably go for him regardless of any of the new additions. He's going to be my next trained general because of this firepower blockade ability, which is just a lot of fun to use. Maybe it's not the most, maybe it doesn't maximize your damage output, maybe it doesn't maximize your economic output, but that is still a lot of fun to use. Rumor is just a really fun ability, and when you can use Rumor to chain abilities, even better on an artillery piece nonetheless, which has splash damage. So that's another way of maximizing your damage. I highly recommend getting De Gaulle out of De Gaulle and probably Bach. If you're really struggling with naval missions, maybe Kuznetsov, but De Gaulle and Bach at this point, after the first Trainable Generals update, which was way back, I think, in September of 2024, I think De Gaulle and either Bok or Patton are probably the generals you want to go for when you train. But aside from them, we also have a couple of new generals, excuse me, at the silver level that you do not need to train. Bitrich is probably going to be one of your early to mid game pickups for Tank Commander because he has very useful abilities. He has both Armor Assault, he has all three Armor Assault, Blitzkrieg, and Inspiration. You can also give him Armor Leader, so he does critical attacks. He will have great damage output and decent survivability because of Blitzkrieg. He's also a level 5 Panzer Commander, but unfortunately his mobility is maxed out at 3 based on his marching order purely. You can give him ribbons to max that out, but it will still be somewhat limited. Ozawa, I think, is the better addition, at least for mid to end game players, since in the mid to end game you're much more reliant on naval / air power. At least not so much naval. I think in the early to mid game you're quite reliant on your naval commanders, and he is quite a capable naval commander. He does have five naval stars out of the box, but he is also a decent Air Force commander. He already starts off with plus 13 attack. You can probably make that plus 17, 18 attack for not too much of a metal investment, and he does have Air Force Leader and an extra slot that you can give an Air Force ability to. Unfortunately, the Fleet Leader and Air Force Leader abilities are both buffed by the same medal, that being the Honor Ribbon, Honor Medal, excuse me. Oh my goodness, what am I saying? These late night videos, probably not a good idea to keep on going forward with. Let's go back to Ozawa. Where were we? So it's nice that you can buff both abilities. Sailor is a useful naval command ability, and you could also probably put carpet bombing on him to maximize his ability on things like aircraft carriers, or perhaps even on, if you have somehow managed to unlock it by now, which even I haven't unlocked it. If you have somehow managed to unlock the Arleigh Burke, you can see I'm still 18 pieces away from unlocking it, and I won't be quite close soon to that, and I won't be close to that anytime soon, since you can see that all of my naval units are quite a far away from being unlocked fully. Ozawa would be great on something like the Arleigh Burke, but otherwise you can put it on something like the Akagi or the Enterprise. That double naval air ability is still quite useful on those abilities. And since I still have to complete the 1960 Challenge Conquest as the Asia Pacific Scorpion Empire, that will be very useful, since you'll notice that they have a lot of air. Just, doing the quick rounds of highlights and such on all of these missions. These are all of the air assets that you have in play, and you also have a couple of naval assets at play. So having another joint air / naval commander is very useful. It'll save me a lot of time and effort in this mission, so I'm looking forward to putting Ozawa in my HQ, and then later Bitrich into my HQ, who will likely replace or at least augment someone like Bastico, Hoth, Whitman, Montgomery, and Romo and Vegan. This is my I don't really need it since I am an endgame player. I don't need another tank commander, but Bitrich is pretty affordable, only at 1400 medals, and you get 3 very good abilities right out of the box, as well as a capable armor commander. This already puts him leagues above someone like Vatutin, whose Tide of Iron ability isn't very useful and is permanently trapped to 1 mobility. He's already better than someone like Sun. He's better than someone like Leclerc, Julius. Let's see, what are the other tank commanders at this tier list? He's already better than Moro out of the box. He's already better than Simmons out of the box. He's already better than Leslie out of the box, I would say. Leslie is only most useful in desert fighting. No, Bitrich is most useful under any circumstances based on these three abilities. So I highly recommend picking up Bitrich if you can. I'm going to pick up Ozawa first just so I can have a little bit more ease with the 1960 Challenge Conquest, that singular one, 1960 Challenge Conquest. Speaking of which, we did pick up some extra Conquest Battle Pass rewards out of the Challenge Conquest. I've already retrieved the Scepter of Dominance. Unfortunately, it's still not enough for me to have 8 Scepters of Dominance so I can upgrade the Gaul or Bach perhaps. But we'll see. The 4-star Nightmare scenarios, basically the enemy has 3 debuffs, but you also get to pick a buff for yourself. If Fragmentation is on the table, or Perish Together is on the not Perish Together, not Fragmentation, Fanaticism. Fanaticism is the OG ability. If you can apply Fanaticism to yourself and just keep a single light infantry along with a large group of your commanders, you will greatly increase your damage output and the efficiency and speed of some of your conquests and the missions. But you can see that the new Conquest Battle Pass has gone all the way up to 300. I was at 276 before, so I already got the Scepter of Dominance. Once I complete the 1960 Challenge Conquest as Asia Pacific Scorpion, I'll also pick up that extra 800 medals. You will get 1750 medals out of these extra Conquest Battle Passes total. You will also get 15 Abrams pieces, the Thunder Medal. I'm not quite sure why explosives is valued so highly in this game, but I mean, maybe you'll have to explain it. Maybe it's just something that I've never really taken full advantage of. But yeah, and you also get another air commander, another dedicated, very dedicated air commander, who has yet another complicated ability in which you reduce the consumption of Air Force units, except airborne units, and missile consumption by 20%. You have Echeloned Offensive. Not quite sure what that does. You would have to get him in the mission, but you will have to finish all of the Conquest Battle Pass missions first, and that will take a while even for me, given my head start on this. You also ignore 60% of the enemy's defense and inflict critical strikes on any enemies with let's say 20% final defense. I don't know what final defense means. Maybe it means, after you've reduced defense using any unique abilities that you might have from any generals that you may have aside from Novikov. He would be doing even more damage if it's below 20% defense. Don't know what it means by nukes are ineffective. And the effect is clear at the end of the turn. Maybe it means that they will specify using these in the top left corner. You will see, the enemy buffs and debuffs underneath the city emblem that is directly underneath the economic income. Buffs and debuffs are listed there. Maybe that final effect would be listed at the end. If it's below 20 defense, you would know. But you have to get all the way up to 300. Excuse me, I'm clicking all over the place. You would have to get all the way up to 300 of these Conquest Battle Pass points. I still have to complete a bunch of 1950 Challenge Conquests and a few 1960 Challenge Conquests, which should get me up to 300 and should give me an excuse to keep on playing the Challenge Conquest mode. In general, I'm actually, before I do any exhibitions, I'm going to save the game. This is a good idea in general. Before you make any big purchases or big HQ moves, if you beat a mission scenario event that has really been troubling you for a long time, I highly recommend immediately saving your it's on the right side of the screen. You can see it looks like a cloud with an arrow on it. I highly recommend immediately saving your progress after any major changes in this game, or before any major changes. So let's just take a look at these elite force unit conversions. So you can see these are the only 3 elite force units that I can convert. It's at a 1-to-2 ratio. I expected it honestly to be much less favorable for the users. I honestly expected that there wouldn't be any free-to-play methods of fragment conversion at all, unless you have already extra units on something like the T44, the Pershing, or the M7 Priest, which I think maybe some of you may have some extra units. But let's take a look at these conversions. So right now for armor, I would like to unlock the Abrams, and I would need 10 fragments for the Abrams. So if I want to redeem 10 fragments for the Abrams, I need to require wait, am I looking at this the right way? How do I... Yeah, so I would have to convert... Let's just get 20 of these for now. Yes, okay. Okay, so I need 20 more. Okay, so nice. Okay, these are very favorable. Very favorable ratios. I highly recommend getting them all now. Now. I mean, like right now. On April 9th, 2025, immediately. As soon as you can, to make these conversions. Consume a certain amount. Whoa, okay, never mind. These ratios are crazy. Never mind, these are definitely, these are not the most favorable ratios. What? I guess this is the limit of the units that you can convert. Okay, yeah, okay. So you are not getting 10 Abrams fragments. You are converting 20 T44s into 1 Abrams fragment. I was expecting something like maybe a 10-to-1 ratio. 20-to-1 is kinda crazy. But at least it's there, at least that's an option. And the Abrams gives you a 20% extra chance of dealing a critical attack, and ignores 30% of the enemy's defense when attacking. And it also gives your unit an extra 30 defense by default. So I want to unlock the Abrams as soon as I can, because that's a very universally useful unit. For me, the T44 for me spending all of these fragments isn't really worth 49 and 16, but I do have a lot of extra fragments to use. So let's just do another. Do it in turns. Do it in increments. Excuse me. So now I should actually be able to make these conversions. No, I still need another. Let's say another. You know what? I have 200 of these units. Let's convert 50 of them. Check. Upgrade, convert, so redemption, redeem, 2, 3, 4. That's the maximum redemptions I can make, yeah. So yeah, it's not worth spending it to upgrade a T44 just to get an extra 8 defense and 1 mobility, but to unlock the Abrams, I am willing to spend all of these extra units. Unfortunately, this means it's going to take absolutely forever to reach level 12 on any elite unit, But if it gives me extra avenues to upgrade, unlock any units that are priority, like the Abrams, like the Topo, then I take it. If you give me extra nukes to use, I will take them, as opposed to an extra 15% damage to a unit that is above half health, an extra 6% defense, and an extra 6 defense, and an extra mobility unit. So, yeah, I won't even, load the last video because I'm going to continue to do these conversions of elite units. I'm going to continue to convert T44 units, another 50 here, into another 100 units there. Redeem them into armor units, and then convert them into Abrams units. Armor badge, wait. I guess I need. So this redemption shop probably only pops up every few turns or so. You can see that the ratio for these other units is much more favorable than it is for the Abrams. One of the honor armor badges. Convert. Man, yeah, these. How did I? What did I do? What did I just do here? Because upgrading this requires the same units as upgrading the Abrams. But I guess I need a lot more units for those upgrades. I don't know. You can figure it out yourself. You have access to the same market that I do, and with the same exchange rates. So, for the first time, when I post videos, it's because I think it's something that you might not be able to figure out for yourself. And I provide my insight to maybe save you some time and money in solving problems that you might not have been able to solve for yourself up until now. This stuff is pretty straightforward, so you'll be able to solve it yourself. I will solve it my own self later in my own time when there isn't so much of a time constriction. What else? What else popped up in this April 2025 update? Do we have... No, we do not have Modern War challenge scenarios yet. We will also have a few new history retrospection videos. I'll be putting out a North Atlantic campaign events series of videos soon. I'll also be putting up a Nightmare series of videos soon, but first I have to finish up with I've already completed Battle of El Alamein. You can see I've already completed Eisenhower's Chow, Operation Weserung. Forgive me, my German speakers, I have grossly butchered your quite complicated language, I will admit. Still have to finish accumulate supplies, which will give me a nice metals buffer, and still have to finish Origin of the Scorpion Empire, which will also give me a few more pieces, spin ribbons, metals, all that kind of stuff going forward. So I might be able to add Ozawa and Bitrich into my HQ fairly soon. Anyway, this was a quick overview and my own and laid back launcher's impressions of the April 2025 World Conqueror 4 update. I think the biggest addition was the nightmare scenarios, which we will actually get to take a look at in a couple of days, and the conversion of... Man, it's crazy how I forgot how the conversion thing happened, but I got it the first try. The conversion of excess fragments. It would be nice if you could be able to trade fragments that you do not have in access of. It would be nice to have an extra RPG Rocketeer fragment so I can have a little bit of extra defense and mobility for that guy. I do deploy the RPG Rocketeer fairly frequently. I deploy armor fairly frequently, so being able to deploy the Abrams would be nice. Nukes are very powerful in this game, especially since they were buffed a couple of updates ago. So being able to deploy something like the Topol, or being able to hit multiple targets with something like the HIMARS would be very nice. So I'm looking forward to upgrading these things. Would have been nice if we could do the trades of things like the howitzer, which I don't use very much towards the Topol, but maybe that will be in a future update. Unfortunately, I will not be able to upgrade my Arleigh Burke, my Typhoon Enterprise, Akagi, Richelieu, or Prince of Wales. I will not be able to upgrade my Hind, my Strata Fortress, or my Apache. The Apache would be very useful since it comes with a range of 2 right out of the box. And I could put Yamamoto on him. Here's what Yamamoto looks like. You can see he is an absolutely crazy air commander if you coordinate him the right way, if you set him up the right way. We did also get an extra 2 or 3 slots to your HQ, as you can see. I had 1 extra because I had just upgraded Kuznetsov as an extra air commander, as you can see, and got an extra HQ slot out of him. But they gave you an extra 2 HQ slots, which is quite useful since they did add 2 new generals, those being Bitrich and Ozawa. As I said before, I'll get Ozawa first since I just need an air commander, and he's quite useful on that with that extra slot as well. Anyway, if there's anything that I missed, let me know in the comments below. If you have any other questions, suggestions, tips, tricks, concerns, leave them down below in the comments below. I read all of the comments. I enjoy interacting with my viewers. You guys are why I still make these videos. I am an endgame player, so I don't really get that much out of these updates anymore, but if I can save you guys some time and hopefully money, they are the same thing. I think time is more valuable. Then that's why I make the videos. And if you do save some time and money, then leave a like. If you leave a like also if you found these videos to be entertaining, if you like the music, if you like the commentary, if you learned anything new, any new tactics, strategies, operational ideas, the 3 levels of military actions, then hit the like button. And if you want to see more videos like this, then hit the subscribe button and ring the notification bell. That's a pleasant little sound. Cheer up your day. I know it cheers me up a little bit. Thank you very much for watching. I don't even have to add endgame, almost completed free-to-play, sub-35 tier in Saudi Arabia anymore. I can just say this April 2025 update impressions review from the Layback Launcher. I will see you all in the next one. This is the Layback Launcher signing off. 07 everyone.